Inspired and tired, that's the gist of our podcast. Inspired, but we're tired. Should we create or should we take a nap?
Create.
Nap. We should definitely nap.
Chase, we're doing the show.
That's right. Of course we're doing the show. Yeah, no, that's what I said. Yeah. Inspired and Tired with your hosts, Chase and London.
Hello. We are back with Inspired and Tired, another episode, and we are here to chat all about creativity, life, and just unlocking any creative blocks you have. And I'm so excited to be here. How are you, Chase?
Oh, well, what a beautiful intro, London.
Thank you.
As
soon as we started, Chase tasked me, and she goes, you start today.
You do the intro
because
I wanted to intro our guest.
I know. We have an amazing guest here.
So I'm so excited because we have the fabulous Sarah Hyland. She's a stand-up comedian who I met a few years, 4 or 5, pre-pandemic. Mm-hmm. And I just adore you with all my heart. So funny in every way, shape, and form, and has a podcast called Not Cool Pod. And please fill in anything I'm missing. Was that a good intro?
I was really enthralled. I was like, I love you too. I think I was just trying to calculate when we did meet. It doesn't really matter, but you've been sprinkled, Chase has been sprinkled throughout my comedic life for a long time. And again, I'm trying to think when we got introduced, but I think it was
Flappers.
At Flappers when you were opening for...
We were both opening for Christina.
Yeah. Well, I was doing a guest spot. You were truly opening, but I just was there.
But that was one of the first shows that I was with her opening.
Was it really?
Yeah. And so that I'll never forget it because you were so, it was so nice meeting someone so warm and loving and I was so nervous.
Which I gotta say is maybe rare in the stand-up comedy world.
Yes,
so the bond must have been immediate.
Yes.
But I don't know. I think that's in LA in general, not to throw a blanket statement out there. But I've been here in LA a long time, and I think it's with comedians as well. You learn pretty quickly to feel the room out, to read the room. And so I never wanted to, I'm too uncomfortable to sit in uncomfortable awkwardness. If somebody's weird, I'm I'm not doing this with you. So I just immediately, it's probably a little bit of my Southern hospitality thing too. As soon as somebody enters the room, I just want to make it warm. If that makes sense, so that
what
people,
a lovely trait.
I know,
but
beautiful.
It's people, so that they can just relax. It's all good. You don't have to or with comedians, or even with when I got my start in improv, people would start being sizzling
There's a lot
bacon.
of
I'm don't do that.
Nervous energy. What do you mean sizzling bacon?
In improv, one of the I was just thinking when in Chicago. One of the warm-up exercises is that the teacher would call out something and you'd have to become it. And I remember one of the warm-ups was be sizzling bacon. And so
my God.
Yeah, this is I've done a lot of these exercises.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah, or that's
it's so silly.
Sizzling bacon.
Oh, that was just imagine 8 people just on the ground
Yeah.
It was so
yeah, I can picture it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, just always trying to find the equilibrium so that everybody can take a deep breath and relax. So it's and that's just my natural disposition. So why would I don't know. I just don't believe in any of that. I'm it's all good. I'm a good person. You're a good person. Somewhere in there.
Let's be friends.
Yeah, let's chill.
Yeah. Oh, what a great attitude.
And I'm really excited actually about today because we're doing something different. Whenever we've had a guest on before, we generally chat and just have a side conversation about something creative, but not the artist way itself. And today we are going through week 9 of The Artist Way with you.
Because I was on Sarah's podcast a few weeks ago, and Sarah was saying that she was doing The Artist Way along with us and has been watching our podcast, which was so cool to hear.
For anybody who hasn't subscribed or liked or shared, please do.
Oh, please do.
Please do.
I've read some of the reviews. Very lovely. Thank you. Keep them up.
Keep it up.
One from Casey, our mom, is very sweet.
Scathing review.
But I got so excited to know you were doing this along with us. So I thought it would be so fun to go through this week's Artist Way chapter with you, and we can go through it all together.
Yeah.
So
This is the best way to do the Artist Way. You got to do it. I mean, you don't have to do it with people, but it really does help to just like keep yourself accountable. And this week I have a lot of notes.
I'm so impressed.
So-
They're printed. They're
No.
typed.
Let me say they're typed. Oh, typed. Yes. When I did it, I was like, oh, I don't have my book with me, but I'm ready. And so I Googled the chapter online. And midway through, I was like, something isn't right here. And I scroll up to the top of the page, and it says, the Artist Week, Week 9 for Equestrians.
There's an Artist Way apparently just for horse back riders.
Yes.
And so London called me last week when she read it and was like, this was a lot about horses. And we didn't know there's an Artist Way for horses.
Yeah. So for everyone, you can do the Artist Way.
Horse riders. Horse riders.
Horse.
I was like, they need to be creative too.
Absolutely.
God, they stand in a field all day. They're probably bored. Let them stretch out.
Let them stretch. Their creative muscles.
But I did underline in this chapter every time she does
I know,
reference a horse, because there's a lot in the not just for equestrians.
Well, when I stopped and then hopped to the book, and I was like, oh, wait, maybe there weren't, too many extra horse metaphors put in, because this had a lot. So
This had a lot. We'll call
we'll
them
dive
out.
into it.
But anyways, let me ask, how has your journey been with the Artist Way How's
so
your
far?
journey
Like, where are the horses?
Oh, well, I'll let you know.
We'll find out. It comes
Classic.
a little later.
I
It
guess
comes a
this
little
is why I
later.
never did the Artist Way with anybody, because I'm like, there were horses in here. Oh my god! I'm always constantly forced to look at my like disconnectedness with anything. I'm like, oh my god. What was my experience with the Artist Way?
Yeah, so far, getting to this point in week 9, because we are deep.
Well,
Yeah.
you skipped ahead for this week, right?
I did skip ahead for
Because
this
she
week.
started
yeah.
a little after our
Yeah.
podcast started.
Because I did the Artist Way, probably like 15 years ago.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Mhm.
Us too.
Yeah, a lot. But it was concentrated because I'd never done it before. Everything was brand new. I mean, I was intense, but I also fell in love with it because it was the first time that any of this had been clearly communicated in a way that I understood, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
And I'm great with tasks.
Me too.
You gotta love a good deadline.
If there's a homework assignment, I'll do it.
I'm in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I think it's, I mean, the very fact that I even get to sit here with 2 other artists and talk about it's like my dream like I love this stuff.
Yay, us
Because
too.
I think there's so much going on in the world, let alone in our own little personal solar systems that goes on that we can't figure out because we can't think our way out of it.
Yeah.
Which is what that I think naturally comes to us, of like, let me figure this out, let me outfeel it, let me outthink it. But that has never worked for me. So like, I love it that it's an action.
Yeah.
Thing. It's
tools.
It's a
Yep.
tool.
Tools to get out of it. And no matter like if you're an equestrian or a crochet artist or a stand-up, like no matter what, I think always going back and doing these 12 weeks, no matter where you are, even if you aren't feeling blocked, it's really important to just continue to review
Flex these muscles.
Yes.
Yeah, I love what you said about our internal solar system.
Me too. The
Yeah.
internal
I don't know why.
solar
It's a
system.
visual thing. I don't know why.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks.
So, do we hop in?
Yeah, week 9,
Week
recovering
9.
a sense of compassion. And I gotta say, this is beautiful.
This
How
is
it
beautiful.
kicks off.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Well, it kicked off for me. What really resonated was blocked artists aren't lazy. They're blocked by fear. And how many times on this podcast, I don't know, you tell me, I don't know how many times, have I said I'm lazy?
Quite a few. But you're just scared.
But guess what? I'm not. Turns out I'm blocked. I'm not lazy. Do you relate to that?
I totally really. I'm always waiting to talk, so I don't.
Oh, just dive in.
dive in.
Dive in.
Because I'm working on my just shutting up.
I am too.
It's hard.
Listening.
I was told on dates.
It's hard.
This woman told me I have to go shh, 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 shh,
Out loud?
Yeah, she goes, well, she says,
When
she
it's
said,
talking?
she says, I need to, she says, I host a podcast on dates. And I need,
There you go.
So anyways, I'm working on that too.
Yeah.
Just in
I want to
life.
see you do that while he's talking.
I
You're
know,
like,
same.
He's like, what? Shut up? No, just me.
No, just my internal
I'm working on
solar
it. You're working
system.
on what? Just No, I'm just listening. Okay, can I continue or are we? Do you want me? Okay. Oh, okay.
I'm talking.
I won't talk.
That'd be so rude to shush someone mid-sentence, huh?
That's why I don't date. Ever. I've tried it and it was hideous. But yeah, no, totally. I have, my brain is wired to constantly look at like to beat myself up for what I'm not doing. Like it's just I've come to accept that that's my hardwiring. Doesn't mean it can't be rewired.
Literally,
and that's what
same.
this is. Yeah, I mean, my head is never gonna be like, hey, Sarah, you know what?
You're doing
You're
great.
grieving. There's a lot going on. You're really, you're doing awesome. Just give yourself, pump your brain. Like, no, my brain is always like, wow, look at what wow, what are you even doing? Yeah. Why don't you just move to Alabama? Like, you might as well just go off the grid. How about
Alabama.
that?
How often? That thought comes in my head a lot.
Every
I was
day.
in San
Move
Diego.
to Alabama?
No,
Just
no.
anywhere.
I was in San Diego this weekend, and we had a view of like cargo ships, and it was the Dole plant, and just the people checking the boxes of these cargo ships, and I was like, what if I just get a job doing that?
I think that all the time, but not cargo ships or Alabama.
Yeah.
But I go, what if I was just a waiter and that was my job?
But guess what?
And
We're
that was
just
it.
blocked.
That wasn't like the survival job. That was the job. Okay, fine. We're just blocked.
We're just blocked.
Okay.
We spend too much energy on self-hatred, regret, grief, jealousy, self-doubt. And it's because they're just scary. The tasks we need to do.
Well, they say instead of like thinking in baby steps, the artist thinks in terms of like the impossible, scary tasks. I need to write a novel. I need to complete a feature film. I need to write a one-person show, an opera. And when these large tasks are not accomplished or even begun, the blocked artist calls that laziness. And that's not at all what it is. It's fear.
And I really like that. I've been thinking about it a lot, and it does get your gears going, I feel like.
What does?
Just knowing it's fear.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm just scared. I'm not lazy. Let me at least try to push forward.
Well, she says the cure to this fear is love. And the cure to it would be actually you going, Sarah, you're grieving. It's okay. Take your time.
So hard, even listening. I'm like, ooh.
I know. So, but like the cure is being nice, kind to yourself and being loving to yourself instead of being fearful. Is what she says.
That's what she
No,
says.
it's there's nothing that's good or there's nothing productive, good that comes from talking negatively to yourself. Nothing. Like nothing good comes from it. All it does is it beats you down. For me, like all it does is keep me circling the drain. And like eventually all it does is it creates this path for me to back out. Why I say Alabama because it's the most desolate place in my head right
Chase
now.
had a song.
Alabama.
She'd sing it on the plane going any state.
I've never been to Alabama and I've always wanted to
go.
It's beautiful. I've never been.
Me
by the
neither.
way.
I've never been.
Yeah, most of the places that I'm gonna retreat to in
Right.
my mind to go off grid to sell apples, like I've never been to. I don't have a visa to go to France, like to work. Do you understand? Like,
I understand.
And even going to, let's say, France.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna go there.
Just
and,
the whole country.
Yeah, just live in the back
the country.
Yep.
Yeah.
But even there's steps to getting a work visa that would, and I'd be like, ugh, that's a lot.
Well, it's so that is one of the like, I guess like that's as big as saying I'm gonna write a screenplay is I'm gonna move to France. Like, there's no baby step in there. No.
Alabama's a little easier though.
It is, but it's still like you're picking up and leaving everything.
Yeah, it's an overhaul. Like,
It's an overhaul.
Nonetheless,
Like maybe say I'm gonna go to Alabama for 2 days, and that might be less scary. I don't know.
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean, it's a lot of travel in 2 days, but
Maybe a week in Alabama.
Yeah.
But it's just my brain procrastinating, what she talks about in this thing too. It's just my brain putting off the necessary actions that need to be done that are so simple. It's just, that's the thing. It creates all these different obstacles other than just focusing on exactly what's right in front of me, which is like, taking a shower. I don't know.
it's
Or like,
clearly easier than moving.
yes.
Yeah. Moving states, moving
Right.
countries.
More manageable.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And
turn on the water.
that escape, though, you say you always are just like, wouldn't it be nice to just do this? And I do the same thing. And I think it's because the ideas in our head of what has to get done is so massive that it feels overwhelming. And we are all craving simplicity.
Yes.
It seems like just a very simple lifestyle. And she says that, another way to like cure this, so with love, another way to cure this is instead of feeling like, oh, I'm disciplining myself and I have to sit at my desk every day and write because it's very like rigid. It has to be enthusiasm that leads us to create. So instead of being like, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and write, it's like, I'm going to get at 6 a.m. and play. And I'm going to play with my inner child. And we're going to be silly and goofy for an hour. And the way of like thinking of like that change of being like playful with your inner artist instead of like, okay, I have to do this. I have to get up because I'm being disciplined. Changing it in our head to enthusiasm and play is apparently going to help us. Thoughts, ladies?
Well, Sarah, I want to know, because she does talk about like you're going to hurt your parents unless you're a great artist. Did you always want to go in like a creative direction?
Yes.
Okay.
I've always been like that.
And were you encouraged to do that?
Yeah, and Chase and I talked about that even on my podcast. I feel very fortunate, like that I definitely had parents that did not give me this like unrealistic guideline for my life of like, Sarah, you need to go into accounting. You know, I'm like, I have to count on my fingers and I'm in senior year of high school. I cannot. You know, they really, because I think that's also great. My dad is someone, he's like a musician in a way, but he always had to, he sells insurance. But I think that inner part of him as a writer, is a musician. Like, so there's always, and my mom, was always like, I'm not good at anything. I'm awful. I think you get that from your dad's side, which is crap because she was an amazing seamstress. She could oh my God, she could crochet anything, like a statue. Like my mom, she was amazing.
Wow.
She was awesome. But like so I think the great thing about both, but she worked at a hospital, because they had to do this, and this to afford their life and help their kids. And so I think I'm very lucky that I had parents who, like, when I was like, I want to go to art school, I don't want to go play volleyball in St. Louis, I want to go to Chicago, they're like, well, okay, I mean, that makes you happy, let's do it. And I was like, oh, okay, so they were
She's
always
from Kentucky.
yeah. Oh, sorry, I should have mentioned that. So you're like, why is she doing that accent? Who
I
is
figured.
that? Is her dad Garth Brooks? What the heck is happening?
Garth Brooks is the #1 selling musical artist in the world.
I know, dude.
Yeah.
Have you seen like when he posts on like Instagram his concerts?
Doesn't come up on my
Their
algorithm.
entire countries are in that stadium. And have you guys seen that? It's not even, you can't even wrap your head around it. Like,
shocking.
I'm going to be on the record, though, and say I'm not a Garth Brooks fan.
Not saying you have to be a fan, yeah.
And
he's out there.
That fun fact, because I think I read you that.
Yeah,
fun
I think
fact.
so.
We were trying to guess who's the #1 recording artist of all time.
We were like Beatles,
Elvis,
Michael Jackson.
Garth Brooks. That fun fact really shocked me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know his work.
It is impressive though.
People love Garth Brooks though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you. I mean, he put out some bangers. I'm not gonna lie. I mean,
there's a whole. Maybe I'm I don't know how to say it, but basically the Your Mom's House community believes that Garth Brooks is a murderer.
Oh,
no,
what?
I've seen some of that. I don't know. I know there's some conflict
What's
there.
happened is every single tour date
There's been a murder?
There's been a murder. And it's aligned with his location of where he is and
He
the
doesn't
date.
have time for that.
Listen, that's just the conspiracy.
Okay.
Didn't I
Okay.
think something like YMH put that like Garth Brooks blocked them on Instagram?
Yeah,
or
Garth
No
Brooks isn't happy
way.
with them.
Isn't that?
It's serious.
You
This is a
gotta
real
laugh.
thing.
It's-
He's even been in like articles being like they have to stop because they're spreading this rumor that he's a murderer.
Wow.
But lines up pretty well.
That I don't
I
agree.
think it's so funny. Sorry.
Anyways, enthusiasm. So
Oh, wait. Can I go back to the parents being proud?
Yes.
Okay, because it says in this chapter, but right before enthusiasm, thanks for going back to it, it says that like most parents aren't supportive, and when you are an artist, you're going against your parents' will, so then you feel this like block.
And you have to be great in order to do it.
You have to be great in order to do it, but I feel that way even having supportive parents, because I'm like, they've invested so much time and money into classes and like paying for college, and where I was a theater major, where like I feel that I also have to be great because I don't want to let them down, that they paid and invested in me. I feel this guilt as well. So even though that's not what she was saying, I related to it.
Yeah. I
Anyone
feel
else?
that way too, because also though we all have our own desire to be great. Like even if it's not your parents, even for me, like I just want to be successful. I want to be the best and have this kind of like idea of I have to achieve a certain level of success. And yeah, so whether it's parents,
Well, you know what
yourself-
you have to read?
What?
This is what my therapist is on me. No, that's a different woman. Got lots of help. I have 3 helpers in my life right now. Anyways, therapist number 1 says I need to really read the Drama of the Gifted Child.
I've heard of this book before.
And this like need to be successful comes a lot from like being successful as a kid and getting praised for like, oh, you won a gold medal, wow, now we love you. And you start to believe that like, oh, I'm only like worthy of love when I'm the best.
Yeah.
So like as a child, if you are like winning awards and like doing great in certain fields, you become this there's more to it. I have to read it. It's a lot to do with like how you're parented, but the Drama of the Gifted Child is something that if anyone feels this like need to be successful, that book is apparently the one to read. But you can read that after The Artist's Way.
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
So enthusiasm, not discipline.
Well,
is where we're at.
So enthusiasm, talking about getting to your desk, starting at 6 a.m., when people ask me like, what was it like to start your own business and be your own boss? Usually my answer is, well, there's no one waking me up in the morning. Like you have to be disciplined, I feel like on a level. So it was interesting to read this because I've always been like, if no one wakes me up, if no one tells me what to do, then it doesn't need to get done. So having this sort of discipline, as much as she says this, I'm like, you kind of need a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna rebuttal for a second. You love to crochet.
Yes.
And London's always telling me, because I have a really hard time getting up and writing, London's always like, well, find something you love. Because clearly you don't love it enough. Because I love to crochet. So I think you love crocheting and you are enthusiastic and you're excited to get up and write. To crochet.
Right.
I must not be, the process of writing must, I don't know. It's just, I don't think I had a conclusion to my rebuttal.
Yeah, but it's a rebuttal. How do you feel about like getting up and getting going and booking shows and...
Yeah,
The discipline
there's
of
a
it
little
all.
bit of both. Because like, yeah, you do have to have, nobody's telling you to go reach out and book show or to get up and write. Like nobody is going to over my shoulder being like, you really should write today. Like, so it's a little bit for me, like one, I definitely think I have the natural discipline because I just have that inner voice that's like, what are you doing? You know, so it's it can be used as an asset. It's not always a terrible thing. Like in moderation, it can be used to drive you to that. But yeah, I mean, there's also the conflicting side is like your childlike side, the whimsical side. That's your creator. And whimsy, you know, 6-year-old whimsy whims, like doesn't wants to take a nap. You know, it's like your whole thing is inspired or tired. Yeah, I want to take a nap. That's what I want to do. Or I want to go out and play, or I want to, you know. So it's like, I think that's the whole journey of it, is constantly, for me, of like finding ways to keep the enthusiasm. Because enthusiasm, I think the derivative of that word is divine. Like it is divinity.
Yes, it says enthusiasm from the Greek, filled with God.
There you go. Yeah, that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So it's like, but nobody, you don't just, sometimes you wake up not feeling one with the universe. Like it just doesn't happen all the time. So
yeah, well, she's saying like in a way to make it joy and not duty. She goes, a lot of writers use typewriters to feel the clickety clack and have fun with it.
Right.
And their desk is filled with dinosaurs and like it's a play space. And so like you get up and your inner child is like, play.
That is kind of the perfect blend of it, though. It's like you still got to wake up, you still have to do the work, but let's make it fun and whimsy.
Yeah. And that's what I haven't found the fun yet.
But can I say, but part of it, like for me, this is part of the enthusiasm. Being with other people, being with other artists. Because like on my own, I can go so quick to be like, oh, I suck. This sucks.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't have other people, which is divine.
Yeah.
Like if I don't have people constantly bouncing off or giving me their experience of like, yeah, I felt like that. Here's what I did. It passes. And then just write one page, you know, like that's why I loved improv so much. And that's why stand up is scarier, because it's just me. But I think like in the creative process, I have found like, at least in this point in my life, like I get the most excited when I'm talking to other people who are doing the same thing that I'm doing. It's just like it was
beautiful. Yeah.
in art school.
That's the enthusiasm behind it, of like
For
finding
me.
like-minded people.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, it's so cool to me because I get out of my head. Because when I'm with you, like, I'm not thinking about myself. I'm really not. Like, I'm interested in, like, what you're doing. Like, I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
like,
we're out of our head when we're not alone.
I love it. My head.
I love that.
I need to, it's never a great place for me.
We need to turn it off. Well, that's what they say with the morning pages, is like getting everything in your head on paper so it's not there.
Then you can go about your day without all that.
Which I guess we'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm just seeing if there's anything else.
Yeah, no, I was really surprised with enthusiasm, reading about like it's more about enthusiasm than discipline. What other people view as discipline is actually a play date that we make with our artist child. I was like, okay, I can have fun with this.
I loved that.
60
really
sharpened pencils are fun.
I was like, I'm gonna, like, how do I make it fun? Like, burn incense, light a candle.
Yeah.
That's fun for me. But I've been doing that, and I'm not like, so I need to figure out.
Get out the Play-Doh.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to make it even more fun, because I want to be like, I can't wait to get out of bed and write. That's where I want to get. I'm not there yet.
But I think, that's like, correct me if like, here's like, but I don't think, for me, I can't make myself to feeling that way. Like with the artist way, like they, you know, even in the beginning, they're like, you know, find things from your memory of when you're a kid, when it was awesome, right? Like food you ate or things. And so something that I have in my room that it's so childlike and so embarrassing. If anybody walked in and I had to tell the story, I'd be like, I'm going to walk off a bridge. I can't tell this story. They're going to think I'm mentally unstable. But in growing up in my room, I had two big wall hangings of Raggedy Ann and Andy.
That's so cute.
And it was a great memory for me. I don't know, whatever. Like
London and I played Raggedy Ann and Andy and the Nutcracker.
Okay, girl. See, serendipity.
Yes. Love it.
Okay, go on.
But one of the things I love doing, I like going to vintage stores and like antique stores.
Yeah, I
like it. Like things that have stories. I'm like, that's haunted as shit. You know, like seeing dolls. I'm like, that's so haunted. But I found a little miniature Raggedy Ann and Andy, a little doll like that were just there for like $3. And so I bought them just for the sheer exercise of doing it. And I put them in a plant. They're in a plant.
This
That's
is
so
literally what
cute.
Julia talks about.
Yes,
like
these little
buying little
totems.
totems and fun things to inspire our inner artist.
Yeah, I think that it's just like, they're like little baby action things that I think chip away at that self-doubt, that self, again, so taking those little steps, or like, I don't know, like hot dogs were a big thing when I was a kid. Like if I want to like just have a comforting, cool, maybe enthusiastic hot dog, like I go and have a hot dog.
Oh, I love that. Let yourself have the hot
delish,
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's the thing. Just get out of my rigidity, my adult self that's constantly, parenting me, and not the best way. Because it's like I said, I constantly have to work on that parent of being more kind and like, hands off, and it's okay. So it's like when I do those little bitty things, like I start finding that I feel a little lighter, or I feel a little like more creative, or or like an idea for a painting pops in, or, like I think of a tag to a joke, because I'm lighter. I'm not weighed down with constantly thinking about how this needs to be done.
Yes.
Like how it's going to look at the result. I'm so focused on the result.
The result is, if we focus on the result and not the journey, that's where we
where the block
even,
happens.
I've noticed in my morning pages, you said like a painting will come to you. I've noticed I've been writing poetry.
Oh,
Yeah, girl.
It's not comedy, but I'm like, it's interesting. I've been like inspired to like tap into like rhyming and like getting out what is inside of me in a poem instead of a joke. It's been easier right now.
The enthusiasm is brewing.
Yeah, maybe I need to write poetry for a bit.
Maybe.
I'm inspired by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Okay.
Journal, girl.
This kind of brings us to
Our
creative U-turns.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
This is fun.
U-turns, we all have them. I'm so excited to hear what we all have as far as
yeah.
U-turns. U-turns are forms of self-sabotage because we're used to not getting what we want. So we like stay in this place of we start to get something we want, and we'll do a U-turn because that's out of our comfort zone, is getting what we want. So she says like a screenwriter has an agent interested in repping their script with a few changes. He doesn't make the changes. That's a U-turn.
Yep. And I love this.
So close.
We usually commit creative harakiri.
I wrote that one down
Either
too.
on the eve or the wake of a first creative victory. And that is so relatable.
The glare of success, a poem, an acting job, a song, a film, can send the recovering artist scurrying back into the cave of self-defeat. So I relate to this a lot. By the way, quickly, I forgot to point out the first pony reference. When I said the typewriter, she goes, a typewriter that trots along like a pony. So that was the first.
We got a trot.
Okay, that was backtracking. Back to the U-turns. Do you guys have any U-turns that come to mind?
I have so many U-turns. It could be another podcast.
Let's hear your first one that pops up.
They're so soul crushing. Even when I was reading this, it's like,
I know.
Oh
Yep.
God.
I know. We get so close, like some opportunity comes up and then we won't take that next step.
Yeah, I have a lot of them. Yes, one of them, one among many of them.
Yes. One you feel comfortable sharing. You don't
Oh,
know.
I'll share all of them. I could, if you can't share your mistakes, then what are we doing? Like, especially, if I can't help, maybe it'll help somebody to not do it. Like, but I don't regret it. It is what it is. It's kind of how things went at that time. But I remember the first U-turn. I auditioned for SNL. I went to New York.
Wow.
It was
That's
great.
so cool.
Awesome. Big, can't
Yep.
even believe I even got to do that. It was insane. And there was an agent there from ICM at the time who was a New York agent, and he came up to me after my audition and he said, "Hey, you were really great. I would love to get my LA agents in touch with you." And so I was like, "Yeah, awesome." And so I went back and somehow we did actually connect. And they said, yeah, let's meet up. We'd love to talk to you and kind of see where you're at and what's going on. And we heard you just audition for SNL. That's great. So I met with them in Century City. I don't even think I brushed my hair. Like, I don't. Because, again, this was all solo. I just was winging it, truly. Very young, too. Like, I was just kind of like.
How old were you?
Definitely like late, I don't know, my 20s. Young enough to be like, get your
That's amazing to like, yeah, I'm so impressed.
Well, don't be impressed yet because it gets worse.
Okay, let's hear.
So yeah, I don't even think I didn't wear anything that was like becoming like an attractive, not attractive in the sense of the word, but like attractive to like, oh, I want to work with this person. They seem to have their stuff together. Nonetheless, they're at the end of the meeting. They're like, so like, when are you performing next? We'd love to come see you. And these are two agents that are talking to me from a pretty great
huge agency. Yeah. Not to rub it in your face.
No,
huge,
no. Oh, it gets
huge
I've
agency.
Had multiple. Like, it's not now. I don't even
kidding.
like bristle
Okay,
it. I'm like, well.
Yeah.
So they're like, we'd love to come. So I just threw out a couple of dates, and one of them was timid. I knew my friend was hosting this show at the Largo, and I was like, I was like, I'll be at the Largo show,
which is a big deal.
Yeah. And but I don't even think I was on the show. I just knew that my friend hosted it, and I think if I was like, can I do the show, he'd let me do the show. And so I threw out a couple shows, and they're like, great, we'll come and we'll see what you're doing. And I was like,
so far there's been no
U-turn.
so
far so good.
You've been doing so good. I thought you were gonna say you just never took the meeting with the agents.
We're almost there.
Okay.
And so so the night comes that my friend's show's at the Largo, and I went through the whole thing. I was like, do you mind if I do some characters on your show? There's these agents coming. And he's like, yeah, sure, of course. Like, come down. And I was like, okay, great. So I put all my stuff in my car to go to the show, all my wigs, everything. And I decide that along this journey in the car that I'm not going to show up, because in my head what happened was they're not going to come anyway. They said they would come, but they're not actually going to come. Why would they come see me? Like, they probably have so many people they're going to see.
Oh, I'm devastated.
No. Okay. And then on the back end of that story was what she talks about. If I don't show up, they can't reject you.
No. I wrote about that too, because there's like the payoff section. Mm-hmm. Why are you U-turning? And it's a lot of like, well, if you don't put yourself out there,
then they can't.
Nobody can judge you.
Yeah. And that was my rational logic.
Do you know if the agents showed up?
Oh, we're ending, and so.
Oh no.
Oh no. I have sabotage stories that make sabotagers ill. Do you know? Like they can't. They're like, oh my god, and I have more. Like, so I've never made it so hard to succeed in my life. Like, it is. People have tried to help me, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Oh, it's so relatable. I'm only laughing because it's so relatable.
No, it's fine. And so,
okay, go on.
To end this long story is, so that was my rationale in my head. They're not going to show up. If I don't show up, they can't reject me, and everybody wins. So I don't show up. And my friend calls me. He said, hey, Sarah, are you coming? There's some agents that are here to see you.
Oh, my heart.
This is the first time, by the way.
Look how uncomfortable.
Some agents. Oh, if you need a puke bucket, you can just throw up in my matcha cup. It's fine.
Oh no.
There's some agents here to see you, and I was like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. No big deal. Like, and I just never went to the show.
That is a massive.
That's
U-turn.
a big U-turn.
Oh, and I really do mean that. Like, that is one.
You've
many.
You are an expert on U-turns.
Yes.
That's when I read this chapter. When you're like, we're going to do chapter 9, so you don't have to read it or whatever. And like, I read it. I was like, I gotta read in this chapter.
Oh my God.
Most of my creative journey has been a lot of, and that's why I said at the beginning, I was like, are U-turns sabotage? Because that's.
U-turns are self-sabotage.
Yeah,
and they're sabotage because as an artist and like our identity for the most part has been not getting what we want. It's been this victim mentality of
why
like,
even try?
I'm never gonna make it, and it works out for everyone else. And the second we get this opportunity that doesn't align with our story, we've been telling ourselves of like, I'm not good enough, this isn't for me. So because there's this disconnect, we self-sabotage. And it's very relatable to the point where Julia says that like many successful artists have taken U-turns. She uses Blake Edwards as an example.
You know him?
I have no idea who that is. But he quit filmmaking for 7 years at one point and then finally got the courage to deal with that U-turn. But
we're supposed to, though, reflect, though. This is a good thing.
And we're supposed to, the anecdote to this is like picking just one U-turn that we've done and like trying to salvage it. And a lot of U-turns I know this kind of is for like the homework.
Yeah, but we can go into it here. I mean, a lot of mine, I was like, I have like 3 this week. And like what I was thinking though about these things, it's like, okay, I'm never going to reach out to this person. I had something as well just this week, a talk with someone who's doing like these new crafting network, and they want me to pitch this show to them. And they're like, just email us, tell us a few ideas, and like, we'll go from there. Easy email. And I was like, but they're never going to say yes. It's never going to move forward. Why even do it? But like, even if I do it half-assed, it's better. Like, if they're saying no already in my head, might as well let them actually say no and try. And they may say yes. So I'm really excited to like rectify the current U-turns.
Yeah.
Because I have a few.
It's interesting reading this chapter. Like, I'm sure any week that we read this chapter, we would have current U-turns at that point. So it was interesting being like, oh, I'm going to actually send that email because I'm aware reading this chapter that I'm doing a U-turn.
And this is where we get to our second horse analogy. We come up to a creative jump run out from the... Sorry.
She
I'm
gets
really not good at
nervous reading aloud.
I'm like a little skittish horse.
Yeah.
Just like the analogy. But pretty much we run like a skittish horse and then circle the field a few times before trying the fence again.
What page are you on?
I'm on 156.
Yeah, and guess what? On 157,
Tell
she
me.
says, think of your talent as a young and skittish horse that you're bringing along. This horse is very talented, but it's also young, nervous, and inexperienced. It will make mistakes, be frightened by obstacles it hasn't seen before. It may even bolt, try to throw you off. Your job as the creative jockey is to keep your horse moving forward and to coax it into finishing the course. And then what's interesting
is it brings us to what you were talking about, asking for help.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also says take a look at what jumps your horse is so skittish about. So like you may find that certain obstacles for your horse are more scary than others. An agent jump may frighten you more than a workshop jump.
Mm-hmm.
A review jump may be okay while a rewrite jump scares you. And that is very true.
It is.
I was like, oh, okay, I'm clearly scared of like setting up meetings. There's certain like jumps that the horse has to take that is a U-turn pattern for me. So yeah, that is all interesting. What did you say it comes down to?
No, it goes right into asking for help. Who do I know who has an agent? Who do I know who's done a successful rewrite? Who do I know who has survived a savage review?
And then she says once you acknowledge that you need help, without fail, the help arrives, no matter what. She tells the story of Bob, a promising young, who was he?
Film director.
And he like finished this short film. He was told it wasn't any good, so he put it up in his basement. Then the attic, whatever, the basement, whatever. It flooded. He lost all the tapes. And he was like, just as good that I lost all the tapes. It was awful. And then when he was like healing and going back through his U-turns, going through the artist's way, he's like, but I can't, it's gone. There's nothing I can do. And Julia says, ask for help. And he reached out to find out if he could get the original copy. Lo and behold, he could.
They salvaged it.
They salvaged his tapes, and he was able to like put his work out there to, I don't know if this is what it says, but to great reviews.
Kind of sounds like a tall tale to me, but I'll take it.
I'll take it too.
I'll
believe it.
Yeah.
So by just like starting the process of like what pieces can I pick up that I like threw away and broke in the past, we'll start this process of asking for help, and then like we'll see what can be salvaged. It's not too late, which I have this belief in my head that like, oh, that opportunity would have happened for me 10 years ago if I had said yes, and now it's too late. I think this is saying it's not too late. You can always like, the universe is going to help you whenever you want to start your journey again. Yeah.
Yes.
But I think that's the thing. Like for me, I always believed, I don't believe this anymore, but that because that didn't work out, it's over. Because I sabotaged that, I had my chance, the window's closed, it's over. I need to go find a skill, be a brick builder. Like I need to go.
You need to move to Alabama.
Yeah, there's, so, but it's interesting because like the creative process in whatever you're doing, like you need all of it. It's like, I know this is going to sound so crazy, but like back in a Native American time, right? Mm-hmm. Like there was the buffalo. They didn't just look at a buffalo and were like, oh, that'll be great meat. They were like, oh, we're using all that shit. Like we're using the hide, we're using the teeth, we're using the brain. Like they used nothing went unused.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know it's weird, but like, I kind of look at it like there is nothing that's not useful from my past. Like the thing, and it's never, I'm not the same person I was when that happened. Like I've had my ass kicked and handed to me in my creative life. Like, the same fears, like the same things that, triggered my horse back then are not the same triggers. I mean, I was scared of everything.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even show up. Like I could not actually bring my body.
And
it's like,
go. Yeah. You didn't
today,
go to the show.
Yeah. Do I have still have the same fears? Sure. Like, do I have stage fright? Yes. Like, do I think everybody's going to hate my work if I post it publicly? Absolutely.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Very relatable.
But the thing that's different is like, I can bring my body now. Like I can show up. Like I can get past that fear.
That's beautiful.
Does that make, so I don't know. I just like,
totally.
There's and this is going to, you ready for a really cheesy one?
Yeah. Yes.
Because my dad always says this.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it in the accent.
It's so cheesy.
Yeah, in the accent.
Because my dad's a lot like me, and so we talk a lot. He's like, Sarah, a lot of times people think in periods. It's not a period. It's a comma. And so when you think life brings you a period, it's a comma.
Oh.
But, I'm like, Pop,
this accent.
that's kind of great. Like, because it is. It's just like, okay, it's not end, it's a pause, and then there's more after.
Yeah.
And like, that, I don't know, that's just helped me, especially in my current, where I'm at now.
Well, and this belief of like, it's over. I turned down that opportunity. The opportunity will never come again. No, it might come again, and now I'm like, I've grown.
And now we're ready for that
opportunity.
opportunity.
To process it. I'm ready.
And what is kind of nice is like email. You can search back. You can search your email. You can find that contact from 5 years ago and reach back out. And maybe that company or that client or that person is in a better space even to accept you now as you are for an opportunity that you can do together because we're ready for it.
That's big. That's a scary email.
It is,
hey,
but
I'm ready now.
What's the difference? I know it's been 5 years, but I'm ready
now. But yeah, I guess what you're saying is like email is very helpful. To
yeah, well, I was just thinking like old things, there's no way for us to fix them, but maybe if it is a big enough opportunity, you kind of do look back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember like they were saying like in the, things of like ask people if like somebody's done something, ask them their experience. Like I remember like on YouTube a few years back, I did a character of Megan Fox. Heads up, don't do that. Like because people really love Megan Fox. And so, I had no means of thinking I was Megan Fox at trust. Like, but I was doing an impersonation of her or whatever. And people like Reddit came the fuck after me. And I was like, yo, whoa. And so, but at that time I was like reading through all the comments and was devastated.
Yeah.
It's so great. So anyway, and they were so cruel. And so,
That's a block to not want to post anything again.
Ever again.
Mm-hmm. I wrote that in the homework, a reason of why staying blocked is helpful. And it's the like, I don't want the mean comments.
Yeah.
It's too devastating.
Well, then, but I reached out to, Margaret Cho, who is, a friend of mine. And I said, because she's had a lot of hate. Like, I know she's had,
Yeah.
and so I reached out to her because I know she's been through that. And she said, girl, like, you cannot read the comments.
Yeah.
Like, the very fact that people are hating you is a good sign, first off. Like, they're watching.
Yep.
And don't read them.
Yeah.
And like that's what that's how I got the information of don't read your comments. Like,
I haven't read a single comment on my special that came out. Because
and that's a good thing.
Oh, that's nice, but I'm certain
thing.
they're mean, but I haven't read them, so.
Yeah.
Anyways,
all right. Next we are blasting through the blocks, which I think we're doing here today. Just talking about it
says to work
good.
freely on a project, whatever it is. You must be free of resentment and resistance, which is anger and fear. So that it takes us through an exercise of how to
rectify an old block.
Yeah. So should we just like read out the 4 steps or there's 5 steps? So the first step is list any anger you have in connection with this project. The project I used going through this was a new stand-up set. What did you use?
I used a current thing that I've needed to do for a long time. I have a client, it's like passive income, and they've been asking me for like a presentation of other things, and I just have been so scared. Oh, this is a U-turn.
Yeah.
It's a huge U-turn.
This is a big U-turn.
Yeah, and I just need to do it. So
what are you using as your project?
I just broke it really small. I just used a stand-up set at the Improv on Saturday.
Yeah.
I just was like,
perfect.
That's the most next thing. Yeah.
Perfect. So first you list any anger you have in connection with this project, and examples are, I resent being the second artist asked, not the first. I resent this editor. She never says anything nice. I resent doing work for this idiot. He never pays me on time. Those didn't relate to me. Do you have any resentments around it that you feel comfortable sharing? You don't have to.
No, I just mainly it's like I'm not good enough is always kind of I get nervous. And then I get mad at myself because I'm like, why have you put this off for so long?
The anger I had around a stand-up set was really like, I resent that no matter how good the show was, you have to continue proving your worth time and time again. You can't just have one good show.
You have to keep.
And you have to do another good show. And you have to have another good, like, it's not like on film. It's like, oh, it was a good performance and it's there for everyone to see. It's like you continually have to bring your A game. I think that there's a lot of comics that think they're high and mighty. I don't like that. I resent it. And I resent that your worth is based on your followers. I resent that you can't bomb or you'll be looked down upon by the other comics.
But all of this is very specific.
These are specific to me, to my...
Right.
Those were just examples that I wrote for, like, maybe their anger blocks I have. I had to really pull them out. Then you list any fears regarding the project, and her examples are... I'm afraid the work will be rotten and I won't know it. I'm afraid the work will be good and they won't know it. I'm afraid all my ideas are hackneyed.
Outdated.
I'm afraid ideas are ahead of their time. I'm afraid I'll starve. I'm afraid I'll never finish. I mean, I have a lot. I love the fears. I relate to the fears a lot.
Definitely.
Did you have any fears that popped up, girl?
All of them. Well, one I related to your the resentments.
You did. Oh, good. Well, maybe I was being too like.
Oh my God! Okay. No, yeah, I hate that I still feel this way, no matter if I have a good set or a bad set. I still feel
not
like
good enough.
Not good.
Same. Because I'm like, well, the next show isn't going to be good, so
yeah, it's not.
It doesn't matter that this was a good show. Yeah.
So that's I hate that part. But yeah, the fears of like, I'm gonna bomb, and then that's the one show that there's gonna be comics at, or if people came to see me, that's what they're gonna think about me for the rest of my life. Like, fear that this will never work out, and or fear that I'll never, say what I want to say.
I said I'm afraid the best comedy I wrote is behind me.
There you go.
I'm afraid what I have to say won't relate to most crowds. I'm afraid that what I write won't be funny. I'm afraid I'll be rejected by the crowd and the internet. They'll demolish me. I'm afraid of bombing and humiliating myself. I've got
lots of fears.
I'm afraid
stand-up
of stand-up.
Is like one of the scariest things, though. What would be our fear of like being an apple picker in Alabama? Bugs?
I'm telling you. Nothing.
I mean,
Yeah, all you got to worry about is dinner. You know, you're like, woo, I am exhausted from what? I don't even know what I'm going to make for dinner. Woo, that's scary. I am beat.
So true.
yep.
And you're afraid of bugs.
I mean, who knows? What if they ruin the crop?
I'm sure they have their, they have to make sure they.
There's a lot.
They
We
do
don't
have
know.
Different fears.
We're
They have
just-
different fears.
We're
Different
just
fears.
yeah.
And by the way, if I went to be an apple picker, I would, excel in those fears. And then I'd be like, you know what?
Right.
I should just
I
move
should
to LA.
just
Just say fuck it and just
get
do
back
stand
to
up.
stand up.
Yeah.
It doesn't, that's what, it doesn't.
My dad has said this to me because I get very dramatic. And he was like, it's not just because you're doing stand up. He was like, I promise you, if you were a teacher, you would be just as dramatic and there would be just as many problems in the classroom. So it's more like my personality.
Our mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
maybe
your side. My person.
maybe we're just, it's our brain. That just is the
Yep.
problem, not what we're doing.
Yeah.
Huh.
I do have to remind myself that, Sarah, like, even if you did move to Alabama, Sweet Pea, you're going to. Do you know, like, you're,
Yeah.
you're also going to be there, so.
Yeah, wherever you are, there you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were fears? I want to know what fears you have as a crocheter.
Is this work something I've already done again? Am I not pushing myself far enough? Am I has been, have I already had my best moments? Like, very similar, I would say. Is
Oh,
the internet not
good.
going to like it?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that darn internet.
yeah.
Especially with visual arts, it just lives. I mean, it's just there. Like, it's, because I've had art shows, too, of, like, visually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people can just sit and stick, because it's there. It's like a joke. People might forget it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, like,
They're just
your work,
looking
it's
at
just
it.
hanging there.
Yeah. They're just there to take it in.
It's so vulnerable.
So
The vulnerability to put out work is very scary. So
Like a skittish horse.
a little skittish horse. So that's why it's good to
Yep.
acknowledge it. Then it says,
Ask yourself what you stand to gain by not doing this piece of work. That I really like.
and we talked about this a little bit.
Mhm.
I gain not
Nothing.
being rejected.
Yeah, but in theory, you might as well let them reject you. If in your head you already think they
what do
rejected
you gain by not doing a piece of work? You gain the, like, in my head it's great and I don't have to know if it's not great. You gain this, like, sense of, like, oh yeah, if I did that, people would like it.
It would be amazing.
So I don't need to know if they hate it. Like, in my head it's great. And you
Mhm.
gain this, like, sense of protection. Like, it's
Yeah.
or like by putting yourself out there, people can just assume that you're good. They don't have to, like, actually see it for themselves. And
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it's even if, like, you, like, halfway do something, you're like, well, I just halfway did it.
Right,
So
I
it wasn't,
didn't
like,
do
my
it, like-
best.
Yeah,
so
like, I could do
I
better.
didn't give it my all. If I did give
Mhm.
my all, it'd be amazing. Probably, like, blow people's minds, but I didn't. Which I've totally done that one too many times. You're
Yep.
like, why didn't you just do it? Because
I can do
don't know,
better.
I could do better. I'm just hungry. You're like, eat? Yeah. That stupid stuff doesn't even
Oh.
make sense when you say it aloud. You're like, what?
I know.
Yeah.
So make a deal.
It brings me to my favorite.
This is your
This is my
London
favorite.
says this
I say
every
this
day.
every week, but I say this particular, like, sentence.
She says to make a deal, and the deal is
Okay, creative force, you take care of the quality, I will take care of the quantity. And you can truly relate this to every single micro step of anything we do. If it goes down to, like, we're taking care of the quantity, okay, I have to send 5 emails today. We'll let the universe take care of how good those emails are. Oh, I have to make 600 Pop-Tarts. Okay, I have to make
she did.
I love
she
the
had to do
Pop-Tart
that.
yeah,
references.
I have to crochet
favorite.
600 of these little tiny rectangles. I'll deal with the next step of the process when I start to assemble the 50 sweaters. And then, so, like,
Wow,
numbers
You're creative.
numbers are so helpful to me in just, like, focusing on that tiny step and breaking it down into the quantity and not worrying about the final outcome. So,
I saw it as, because I don't need to crochet 600 squares.
mhm.
I saw it as, that's unique to you. I saw it as, like, okay, if I just show up at my desk every day, that's the quantity. I promise to show up. What gets written, that's on you to, like, come through me, for your channel to be downloaded into me and come out on the paper. But I promise to show up every day or however many days I
So
set.
not like I need to write 1 page.
I need to write 100 words. No, that might be even better. When I read it, I was like, okay, all I have to do is show up every day for a certain amount of time. I'm showing up. It's up to you to make it good.
That works too.
How do you interpret it?
Yeah, I mean, it's 50-50. I mean, like, you got to do the work. Like, the universe isn't just going to, like,
Do it for
it's
you.
not magic. I mean, it can be magic, but you have to do your part.
You have to show up.
You got to be willing to do the work. It's like, people who are successful didn't just magically get there. I mean, it's rare, 1 in a million. Like, that's like, oh, they just found me on the internet, and now I have my own Netflix
They found
special.
me in aisle 7 at Ralph's.
Yeah.
I hate that
Pamela
story.
Anderson on a screen, like at a football game. You're like, you motherfucker. Like, lightning in a bottle. But like for the rest of us, like there's work. You have to roll up your sleeves and work. And so, but like, and that's manageable. Like when it's 50-50, I'm like, okay, I can consistently show up every day. And she even talks about like your morning pages is a good place to launch from that. Like if you can show up into your morning pages,
yes,
you can consistently show up whether you feel like it or not.
Which we had a hard time at the beginning of this podcast showing up for our morning pages, and now I've been consistent. We've been like, okay, we're going to do the morning pages because that's showing up.
Yep.
So that's the chapter. It does say a word of warning. This is a very powerful exercise. It can do fatal damage to a creative block.
And I completely agree. It is so, so helpful.
Have you guys done it yet? I'm like, is it really powerful?
You take care of the quantity.
London.
And
not
the
me.
universe
London's
takes care of the quality. It is astounding.
Has that been happening? Is that manifesting in your...
Every time I have a big project, I break it down into the quantity and not focus on the final outcome. 100%.
I love it.
It's too big. It's too big to worry about. Is it going to be good enough?
Yeah.
You have to focus on the little steps.
And London's been saying this mantra since, I guess, when
2014.
We did it.
Can I tell you another cheesy Tim Hyland?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last one, you guys.
Okay.
I don't think I have any
Buckle
more
up.
after this.
Buckle up.
But can I just say they all fall in line
Hey, I love the
with
comma
what
thing.
we're saying because it's about action. And my dad always says, Sarah, he has to write a book or have him on the podcast.
Oh, we'll have
I'm
him
not
on.
doing him justice.
Okay.
I feel so dumb for doing this, but he, again, in our little talks, he always says, Sarah, if you just you do the stitches, leave the pattern up to God.
He's a crocheter.
That's it. That's exactly what.
it.
He gets it.
That's it.
That's it. And
He gets it.
He's like, I know you want to know if we're making a sweater or a hat or pants. I know you want to know. But it's not your job to know. Your job to know is just do the stitches and leave the pattern.
Oh, we love Tim Hyland.
Yes.
Isn't that funny? I'm like, thanks, Dad. So there's your
did
last
the
Tim
stitches.
Hylandism
Well,
that I
thank
got for
you.
you.
I love it.
Which goes into your crochet.
It
Yeah,
definitely
you
does.
do the stitches. God will do the pattern.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Write that down. Put it
All
in the
right.
studio. So the tasks this week, there weren't that many, and they aren't really ones we necessarily have to share.
Yeah, we can just
But it was,
quickly go through them.
It was to read through all of your morning pages that you've done so far on this journey, highlight your insights, and in another color, highlight actions needed.
What I like about this,
it took me 2 hours.
yeah, it shows you themes. It's like, oh, I've been talking about an online store for 4 weeks now. Might as well make progress there. So it's just like nice to get
What have
some
you been
insights
writing
on
about
what-
every day?
take stock. She says.
I write a
Take
lot
heart.
about eating healthy. Boy, do I want to eat healthy. That's something I'm still working on. I write a lot about, just like this Christmas script I want to write. Like there's been
You see the
patterns.
themes.
You see the themes. So you take stock. What have you consistently been complaining about? What have you been procrastinating? What have you allowed yourself to change? And I actually have a lot of it. I was like, oh, I have changed quite a bit. I'd like to share what I've changed.
Thanks, Jace.
What have you... Okay. First of all, I've been way more honest with people. We've talked about on this podcast how I have a hard time saying no, and I'm always busy. In this past month, I've been saying no to a lot. That felt like a big change. And I did yoga every day.
That's beautiful.
That's amazing.
Those are my changes.
Those are great.
I felt like I was really proud of the saying no.
Yeah.
And then take heart. Many of us notice an alarming tendency toward black and white thinking. I love him. I hate him. Just take note of all this stuff and acknowledge the pages have allowed us to vent without self-destruction, yada, yada, yada.
That I really like. I've been a lot kinder to myself over like not necessarily having a specific job to work on, but having fun and playing and just enjoying
I've
this
really
time.
been enjoying actually doing the morning pages.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if it's a busy day, I've noticed I'll just write one page instead of 3.
And that's fine.
But I've been consistently doing it. I would love to know, because morning pages are so hard to fit in and do consistently. How's it been for you?
Well, I will say that the morning pages is the most consistent thing I've done since the beginning. For years.
Wow.
I will say that is 100%. I have made it a part of, and now it's just a part of what I do. I mean, I get up an hour earlier.
Just to write.
Wow.
It is definitely, because I've done it for so long. The one thing I do notice when it said to go reread them, I was like, ooh, I can't read my writing.
Oh.
I can't read my writing either.
I can't read my
I'm
writing
writing so fast,
fast
to keep up with my mind.
But that's why I'm like, oh, why do I do that? Because it's not a clear, it's just stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
But like I do write it so fast that it's just scribble, so I can't read it.
Yeah, a lot of it, I'm like, how come I can't read my own writing?
But now I'm like, maybe I should write so I can read it.
There's no right or wrong way.
But yeah, no, I don't know. It's become a part of my practice because I've noticed that when I don't do them, I physically feel like my brain is fuller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's messy and it's like static, like zzz, like this constant noise. Because my head's already busy. Like I already have a head that's pretty active about in many conversations having with each other.
Right.
That I'm not a part of, you know. So I just I get more. When I do get more clear, and I notice I have less anxiety because I've just drained it out.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm anxiety free.
That's amazing you've noticed that.
Yeah.
The pages, she says, do wonders.
They do. I feel the same. That it takes that chatter out of my head.
What about, did you guys do any good artist dates in the past little bit?
I went paddle boarding.
Oh,
girl.
yeah. And I went hydro biking.
Oh,
Heard of it?
no.
It's a bike on the water.
I love that so much.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
We
On
were
the
on
water?
the water.
On the water.
That's fun.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How does that even happen?
Listen.
I want to do that.
I know. I got so many compliments on my hydro bike. Everyone was like, "Can I get a ride?" I was like, "Ha
Oh my
Room for one.
okay."
I want to sit in the basket. Does it have a basket? You can just go from,
That's so
basket.
fun.
I can't believe that. That's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah, and
I've just jet skied. God,
Oh,
I'm
that's so
I'm so
fun.
1990s. No, not recently.
Oh.
that was your
I was like, I
date.
want to jet ski.
Yes.
No, I did not. I didn't do great on my. That's the one thing that is difficult for me.
Artist
is
date.
the
Finding the
artist
time
date.
to-
Yeah.
Our cousin texted us a few days ago and was like, "Hi, girls.
I'm
I want to
doing
do
an
an
artist
artist date.
date.
Any suggestions?" And I know I live alone. It's a lot easier for me to get alone
Yes, she has
time.
like a husband and a kid. And
It's harder when you've got a lot
Yep.
going on in your life. And some of the suggestions I said was like, take a 10-minute walk around the block.
yeah, we were like, watch the sunset. But what I like that she did is she broke off from
She was
her
with
kid
her
and her husband and just went and enjoyed the crystal show.
They were at a
They were
crystal
at
show.
like a show and,
and
she
then
broke
she went
off
off alone,
and
and that was her.
I thought that was very sweet because like even though she's there with them, she was able to still enjoy her artist date.
Yeah, because I do think it is hard to find time or figure out what you can do. I even said go for like a 20-minute drive listening to a song you like or album you like. So anyways,
The main task this week was reading your artist pages. She also gets into visualizing, kind of like I was thinking visualizing the true north that we talked about
yeah.
in a previous chapter and just reading it daily, listing our priorities for our creative goals, and then going through any creative U-turns that we kind of talked about earlier in this chapter and just
And
getting
what we can
clear.
salvage.
I need to pour one out for the
I don't know
homies
how
on
we
that.
Yeah.
salvage
Oh
the
my God.
ICM agents. I think
How do we salvage it?
How do you salvage that?
Well, because I did it again. So you
Oh.
can't.
I was going to say, just don't do it again.
There are times, where you just have to. Goodbye is probably maybe the best thing to do. No, I practice doing things differently by just even with stand-up shows where I'm like, I don't want to go. It's too many people or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I just do the opposite.
You go.
And
You
I
show
go.
up.
Like, so
That's more of the quality quantity. It's like just show up, and that's maybe a good thing I should say before shows. Yeah,
I'm just going. I'm taking care of the one show.
It's the truth.
Who cares if it's good or bad?
Yeah, and I have to believe. I cannot not believe that like this, it's like an agnostic situation, like that we're just, I can't, like I have to believe something's helping me.
Yeah.
Like it just for whatever, maybe there's controversial, I'm sure, in this world today, but like I do have to believe. And so like whenever I do perform, like I ask that power or whatever it is to help me out, just to be useful. Like, just to help somebody out, because that's
help a girl out.
Just help me to help them. Like just get me out of myself so I can be free. Like it's more just being free and out of your head.
Yeah,
because that's where the joy is. Like for people watching, for people, if I can have a good time, if performers are having a good time,
then you feel safe.
Then you have a good time.
The audience is having a good time.
That's
but they
what
can
they say.
smell it if you're like,
if they're like,
hi.
I'm so nervous to be here.
They can smell it.
Yeah, they sense it right away. Like it's just, but that's, as somebody who does like visual and like performative arts, like I've had to make this decision. Like Hyland, you either make it fun or stop doing it, because it's painful. Like painful.
And that's what this chapter is all about, is making it fun, enthusiasm, not discipline, like choosing to go about it a fun way and being creative, like a little inner child.
Little horse.
A little horse.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think this one really helped me personally, and I'm excited to
you had like 7 pages of orange notes.
These are all from the equestrian. This is when I read the equestrian version, so when I went back through, I highlighted.
Did you accidentally read the equestrian version?
I just Googled Artist Way week 9, and I found it like pretty much seemed like the book, which now I think it may be.
Okay. You already said that.
But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, lots of notes.
Well, these are my exercises.
Oh, good. I love it, London.
Blasting through blocks.
I'm just shocked that you didn't whip those out once. It was just a lot of work.
It's on the fly, okay?
Okay.
It helps me. Helps me prepare.
It's like color coded.
Yeah.
I don't have white paper at home.
Job.
It's orange cardstock. But this has been so fun. Thank you.
Thank you
for
so much. So much. Could you just tell
Share
the listeners where they can find you, what you have coming up, how they can see your work?
Thanks, Jay. Thank you both. It's been so much fun. You can find me on Instagram at Sarah Hyland Rosenstein. I'm on YouTube at Sarah Hyland Comedy. My podcast, Not Cool Pod, was on Comedy Store Studios, but it will now be on Sarah Hyland Comedy on my YouTube page.
Woo!
I know. And putting out merch and whatnot on notcoolpod.com. I have a show coming up. If you're in LA, come. It's a special show, actually, with some great headliners at the Improv. It's at 3:00 on Saturday.
Oh, Saturday. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not on
That's
Tuesday.
great.
Yeah,
That's my ideal
That's
time.
a great time.
Yeah.
Well, actually, a lot of people have said that. They're like, actually, 3's perfect.
It's great.
They're like,
That's
I
a
hate
good
leaving
time.
the house after 6.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, so
we bet.
anyway, but yeah, come out, and there's more shows that I'll
date?
have on. This Saturday? What is that date? What are we on?
This Saturday?
This coming
This
Saturday.
comes out next Thursday.
Oh, it's done. We had a
Darn
great
it.
show.
You had a
Great show.
I killed,
Yes, you did.
annihilated.
You'll be
ICM
back
was
at the
there, and they
Improv
asked me
soon.
for a recontract.
Yeah.
I'm signing with William Morse, though.
Yes, you
Like,
are.
I'll
Oh,
do it.
different from ICM.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you,
so,
guys.
so much.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
You
both.
can follow London at Made by London.
You can follow Chase at Chase_O'Donnell.
And like we said, go like, subscribe, leave a review.
it'll make us so happy.
It'll make our day. Okay.
All right.
Bye.